Good morning traders, Joseph here from Eightcap. So it's going to touch on Friday's session, and it really was one hell of a day on Friday. We can just have a look at the pound in front of us now. We started the day with some really strong risk driving news, which was the basically real confirmation that the trade deal between the US and China has been agreed upon, and the Conservative win in the UK election. We can see just now in the pound that we had a day of, well below 2%, 2.46% move, but that was trimmed later in the evening, and we did start to think about if that would happen. There's a good old saying, buy the rumour, sell the fact, and we could have seen something like that on Friday, with this profit taking turning into something more with a few more influences later in the night. So we can see that there was a drop of 1.33% after the high. Now the key factor that did come out later in the session was disappointing US retail sales. Core retail sales came in at 0.1%. and retail sales came in at 0.2%. That was below what was being expected. So we don't know if it was the exact reason for the pullback. Some risk markets were quite high, and they could have just been ready for some selling, just basic profit taking, and then if you get a good enough reason, it snowballs into something a bit more. So we just have a quick look at some of the other key risk markets. We can see the Aussie, after a very strong rally up, breaking above October's highs, sellers set in, and then basically, even on the back of that positive trade deal news, they didn't stop, and we saw that pullback. The Aussie finishing nearly 1% lower from its high. The euro was another, after a blitzing rally that broke above these highs we saw in October. We had a very strong sudden pullback, and to end the day lower, with a 0.72% move down. This is basically the same story across the yen. Markets are not as volatile as the USD pairs, but yeah, again, some very strong pullbacks. And the yen actually did even trim gains to the US dollar, despite it being a bit higher later into that session. Gold was another market that pulled back as the US dollar gold held its gains, and we saw a pretty decent session with a close still under that resistance level and a 0.6% gain. Now the issue for gold, and we've been watching this for a while now, is this resistance point here, which is at that 1478 area really. We have not been able to see a close above that level since this bar back on the 6th of November. It's quite a long-term and strong resistance point now, so we're going to have to see buyers really break above that level here, and possibly to this level, to really say that this trend's underway, if this is going to be a medium-term trend. At the moment, we just have a real strong consolidation point between these two levels. Oil was one of the few that really stuck firm. We saw a continuation of this two-day rally that started on the 12th, and we saw a higher open, and at one stage 1.68% gain that did break above that weekly high. We did settle below that weekly high, closing just below it, but it did set up a new 3-month highs on WTI. So going forward today, we're seeing some good buying on the ASX 200s. It's reacted quite positively to the trade deal. We're seeing a strong session today so far. And if we're just quickly going to touch on the US 30, we're seeing this point here now, basically from that 170 to 175. It's sort of started to develop into some decent resistance now. We can see a few moves have failed, and Friday is another example of that, where we failed. So we have opened higher this morning, but we are seeing a bit of a pullback. So if we're going to see this trend here continue, we really want to see buyers make a strong break above this resistance here, and really put in a move that shows they still maintain and control momentum. If we see a slip back under there, this resistance point, which is around this area here, that's going to continue to hold out. So that's it for today's update. Keep an eye on the markets we've been speaking about, and we'll see if buy the rumour, sell the fact has any recourse coming into this week. We have got busy night coming up with a lot of flash manufacturing services PMI data out of the EU and the UK, and that will be coming online from the European Open this evening. So keep an eye on that. It could have strong influences on the euro and the pound. But for now, have a fantastic week and enjoy the rest of your trading day. Bye for now.